For the next few weeks on this channel, we're going to be doing something a little bit different, shifting the focus from physics to film. You might remember the SSFX, or Space Sound Effects project, challenged independent filmmakers to incorporate real sounds from space, which I do research into creative short films. Now's the chance to find out how that process actually went. Up next is Simon Rattigan, who was behind the film Names and Numbers.
Space sounds, names and numbers. Sounds recorded from space, sound waves, captured and converted into a human scale, compressed, speeded up, converted down to a human scale, to an audible frequency. God Save the Queen in Morse code. All the words into Morse code, a binary code made up of long and short sounds. The national anthem represents the boundaries of a nation and a common culture. Dots and dashes, national boundaries sent into outer space.
It was basically an accumulation of ideas and just sitting down and following the logic of each individual material thing. So a soundtrack, a recording, a piece of text, a collection of different images which I'd filmed. So yeah, there was no simple way of putting them all together. I guess the stream of consciousness of that writing process was one of the guiding principles, I suppose, and also the idea of a journey from one point to another, traversing a distance in space. So as you do when you watch a film, you have a beginning and an end. You kind of go through in a logical sequence from beginning to end, and it does follow that sequence. I guess I was kind of interested in that with the Morse code as well, as a kind of continuous thing, which I think I say at some point in the soundtrack, how do you freeze sound? How do you make it stop? And of course, you can't really stop it. There's silence, which is not an absence of sound. So I was trying to find that equivalent with a sound. So I kind of chose Morse code because of it is basically one continuous tone broken up into short and long periods. And each period defines words by the silences in between them. So that was also kind of a way of structuring, the images obviously were synchronized with the flashing of the Morse code. I tried to experiment on all levels, so the visuals and the sounds, and the writing side of it. That also came from another psychological experiment which I'd been reading about, so I tried to enact that experiment of writing down your thoughts at the sound of a buzzer. So you have a buzzer which kind of samples your mind at any particular time, and it gets recorded and translated through psychiatrists. The geometry obviously was quite important. I reorientated the screen. That was obviously maybe it wasn't obvious, but to me it was obvious that how I filmed it, I was using a body camera which was hanging at a slight angle. All the time I was cycling around and carrying it across a bag. It hangs sort of a strange angle, so the horizontal line becomes a diagonal line. So to reorientate the horizontal line of our experience, our horizontal and vertical kind of relationship, I kind of had to reorientate the screen to fit the horizon line. So that's kind of how that came about. But also as a kind of framing mechanism, as I was using windows as a way of seeing through to the world. So looking through the mesh, looking through the frames of the windows as another kind of framing device. The first sequence where the flashing of the drawing is Morse code in number sequence. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, just up to 9, I think. So it's kind of all the numbers. And then the later part is the national anthem, God Save the Queen. So I was kind of interested in that kind of notion of boundaries of a national boundary when you put it in context of outer space and the whole world and a kind of global thing, and how it maybe seems a little useless, maybe.
Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Something a little bit different from the usual. Physics videos will be returning very soon, so make sure if you've not already to subscribe and click on that notifications button so you don't miss out.